Hey guys, welcome to my new channel called Make It Gaps. And on this channel, what I want to do is show you how to make food that is GAPS diet approved. Now that's going to include entrees, it's going to include snacks, it's going to include desserts. Now I'm going to show you the kinds of things that I eat while I'm on the diet. And it's going to include all of those things that I mentioned before. I know what you're thinking. Maybe you were going to have to give up on things that you like to eat, particularly sweets. Turns out there's a lot you can do on a GAPS diet when it comes to cookies and cakes and bread. You just have to be a little creative and learn how to cook with these new ingredients that are GAPS approved. But I want you to be involved. I want you to make suggestions about the kind of food that you loved before you were on the GAPS diet. And we'll try to make it GAPS. I'm glad you're here. I'm happy that you're going to join us. I hope you enjoy this show. So I thought maybe for the first episode, it would be a good idea to make something that maybe everyone could enjoy. Usually when we start GAPS, we start to dread the kinds of foods that we're not going to be able to eat anymore. Typically those are sweets. So the first episode that I picked, the topic and the recipe is going to be about a cookie. This cookie is going to be a strawberry jam shortbread cookie. It's going to be your basic shortbread. It's going to be sort of a light, buttery, crumbly dough. And then in the top, we're going to make an indentation where we're going to put homemade strawberry jam. Now I've went ahead and made the dough. You can kind of see it's sort of a crumbly, dry looking dough. But first we're going to go through the ingredients. So if you want to copy this down, now's your chance. So here's what we need to make these cookies. You're going to need 2 cups of almond flour, as finely ground as you can get it. A 1/4 teaspoon baking soda. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt, preferably a good quality mineral salt. And this means a Celtic sea salt. It's the stuff that's a little bit gray. And that's your dry ingredients for the dough. For your wet ingredients for your dough, you're going to need honey and ghee or butter. Now you want both of those to be pastured, if at all possible. Pastured meaning from pasture-raised cows. It's a much healthier product to cook with. You're going to need a 1/4 cup of that honey, and you're going to need a 1/4 cup of that ghee or pastured butter. Now what you're going to do first is you're going to combine your dry ingredients, which is going to be your flour, your baking soda, and your salt. You're going to mix those together real well with a whisk. And then in another bowl, which I've already done, you're going to mix that honey and butter or ghee together as well. Mix it real well to where it's blended nice and smoothly. And then you're going to combine all of those ingredients into one bowl, and that's what makes your dough. Now this has to go in the refrigerator for about an hour because you want it to get firm and cool, because when this cooks, since there's no egg in it, the dough will tend to fall because it's butter and almond flour basically. So we want to make it as cold as possible so that as it cooks, it'll set before it falls all the way down. So this is going to go in the fridge for about an hour. Now, while that's in the refrigerator, we're going to get started on the jam. Here's what you're going to need for that strawberry jam. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of honey and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, preferably from a fresh lemon. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start off with those strawberries in a saucepan. You're going to cut them up into small pieces. You're going to heat it on a medium heat until it kind of starts to break down and kind of look gel-like. At that point, you're going to mix in your honey and your lemon juice. You're going to stir that up a little bit, get it real nice and blended and consistent. And then at that point, you're going to reduce the heat and cook it for another little while. Basically, what you're looking for is to get a jam that as you dip a spoon into, it will evenly coat the back of that spoon. Once you've gotten to that point, your jam is considered ready, and you just need to set it off to the side and wait for that dough to be ready to go. Okay, so we've got our strawberries in here in our saucepan. We've got them heating up. We're trying to get them to start to break down just a little bit and form just a little bit of gel on the edges. They're basically going to get really soft. And at that point, we're going to put in our lemon juice and honey mixture. We're almost there. Be careful and don't get it too hot. They will burn easily. Alright, they are starting to get a little gel-like, so we're going to put in our mixture. Now we're going to keep stirring this as it cooks. We want to try to help those strawberries break apart. If you need to get a small whisk or something to help kind of smash them up a little bit, we'll do that as well. When these are done, we'll set them off to the side and wait on the cookies to be ready to receive that jam. We've got this cooking, it's simmering, all the parts are in there, and we're going to let this cook like this for about 10 minutes. After that, we're going to reduce the heat to pretty low, depending on your setting of your stove eye. The number may be different, but you want to cook it where it's just heating enough to where you're seeing bubbles, because at this point you want to have that syrup to really start to form. You want to keep stirring so those chunks eventually break up. Jam should be smooth. Okay, so this has cooked the appropriate amount of time, and you can see very much like a jam. And when you press the back of that spoon into it, it holds on. It's very thick, it's very smooth, and it is very jam-like. So this is ready. That's what we want to see. And it smells really good. So now all we got to do is get our dough. Get these pieces. You want to form maybe a 1-inch ball, about like that. You want to make a little dent with your thumb. Okay, so these cooked 10 to 15 minutes in the oven at 350 degrees. You'll cook, your time really will depend on how big the cookies are that you make, and also pay attention to the color. You really want that golden, toasty brown color around the edges. I hope you learned something, and I'm glad you tuned in for this episode, and I hope that you realize that on the gaps, there's a lot of good food that you can eat, and you can eat sweets. You just have to know how to use the new ingredients that you have to cook with. So, thank you, and we'll see you next time on Make It Gaps.